Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yep, what's good, original crew, man? We're back today. We got a body cam of something crazy yet again. It's always crazy, bro. Just a cycle of craziness that goes on. And all these in America, bro. Just imagine the body cam visuals that we pop. Right? I don't know what's going on in other countries. Ooh, Mexico would be crazy. Mm-hmm. I know a couple countries. If we could get body cam videos from them, that'd be... You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Dude. But hey, with that being said, before we get into it today, make sure you check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you have to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals.
Like it with a thumbs up.
But hey, today we got when a cannibal killer spots his next meal. Second cannibal video of today, see?
I know, right?
The other one, man.
Crazy.
I don't even know how y'all gonna get them.
Yeah.
I just get them how y'all get them. I do apologize. But hey, let's go. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's get it.
When it was, and she never fought. She never did. And next thing you know, she's dead. And I'm like, well, this is great. And I guess, I don't know, I got scared or nervous or I don't know. It was juicy. It didn't taste like blood, though. I mean, it tasted like a cardboard piece of steak.
If you really wasn't sure what she said, why didn't you call somebody to come up there and check on her?
Because something else is in control.
When detectives in Coffee County, Tennessee were...
Not Coffee County. Let me write these dates down.
Normally we be talking about everybody else. This right down, ain't this right down the road?
Yes, Coffee County.
Because I always see their license plates, bro.
Yes, Coffee County.
35
Tennessee.
minutes away.
Okay.
Oh!
Yeah, I'm like, where Coffee County.
I really do know Coffee County because I used to have to go to Coffee County. I ain't never...
What's the date? Did you take it back so I could see the dates?
Is that the only city? Can't be. They always hear the 35 minutes. I felt like it was farther away when I used to go. It wasn't in the beginning.
Or a piece of steak.
If you really wasn't sure what she said, why didn't you call somebody to come up there and check on her?
Because something else is in control.
When detectives in Coffee County, Tennessee were called out to a remote property late one summer evening to respond to a peculiar claim, they had no idea what they would soon uncover would reveal a horrific and gruesome crime. In a chilling turn of events, detectives were left to puzzle out not only if someone had committed the crime, but if they'd resorted to cannibalism following a bizarre accident, or if in fact the stomach-churning act had been the fulfillment of a fantasy and an unhealthy obsession with serial killers.
Just give y'all a brief educational thing of this county.
2014.
When I used to work at one of my old jobs, I used to have to go over here, and they always advise if you look like me, make sure you go with somebody that don't look like me. Now, I'm gonna just say it like that, you know what I'm saying? To make it easier, smoother for you. I don't know. I'm sure they have residents that look like me there. They born and raised there. I'm an outsider. But we was always told, you know what I'm saying, So, just a little background. But if you're familiar with Bonnaroo, it's near where Bonnaroo is. If you're ever familiar with that area.
The evening of June 8th, 2014, Jason Walker was walking across the yard of his rural Tennessee home when he heard a voice call his name from somewhere in the yard. Jason turned, slightly impatient. It was 6:30 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, and he was eager to get on with his preparations for the upcoming week. Looking to the adjacent yard, he saw his 37-year-old neighbor, Gregory Scott Hale, standing at the fence and motioning for him to come closer. Jason sighs inwardly but approaches the short chain-link fence separating them anyway, having no idea that the conversation he was about to have would be one of the most horrifying of his life. "Where's your backhoe?" Scott says by way of greeting. Jason replies that it isn't there, and he won't have it back for a few days. Scott appears somewhat irritated by Jason's response, prompting him to ask why Scott is suddenly so interested in his backhoe. Scott, in response, makes a tasteless and gruesome joke about needing it to hide the evidence. Jason, nonplussed, stares at him in silence, prompting Scott to continue by pointing to the 2 5-gallon buckets sitting just a few feet away, near Scott's burn pit. He explains that he tried burning everything in the burn pit, but it hadn't worked, so he figures he should just bury it all as fast as possible. Jason listens to this reasoning for the use of his backhoe before growing tired of his weird neighbor's stupid joke, and abruptly telling Scott he needs to go and that he'll talk to him later.
I was wondering, I was like, why haven't I heard of this story before? Because I know you most definitely haven't heard of it.
Right.
And I was around in the area around this time, but I at the time of this happening, I had went back home for the summer. So I wasn't even up here at that time. I'm like, bro, why? Like this? But how the hell you joke with your neighbor about some shit like this? Oh, I should ask my cousin if he know about it. He over there in that area. What? And the hoe ain't finna help you dig up no damn hole to bury this. You know what a hoe is?
Backhoe, yeah. The little things with the thing in the front.
It's just a pole with a little.
Oh, is it a pole?
A backhoe.
Oh, I thought it was one of those. I thought it was something else. I thought a backhoe was the trucks, the truck that got the thing in the front.
Oh, it is.
That's what I thought it was.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm thinking he talking about like a handheld hoe. Oh, you right there.
I could be wrong, but
Yeah,
that's what I thought it was.
You finna. That's some country ass shit. This is far beyond me.
And abruptly telling Scott he needs to go and that he'll talk to him later. 3 hours later at 9:30 p.m., Sheriff's Corporal Brad Roberts is sitting at the front desk of the Coffee County Sheriff's Department when a man approaches, tense and anxious to speak with someone immediately. Corporal Roberts tells him to come back first thing tomorrow morning, but the man is insistent. It's Jason Walker, and he needs the police to listen to the joke his neighbor has just told him, because the longer he's thought about it, the less it started feeling like a joke.
Come on now.
At first, the corporal is skeptical as it sounds ridiculous. Violent crime is almost unheard of in tiny Coffee County. But Jason is so adamant, so sure, that the deputy starts getting a sick feeling as well. He radios for 2 more officers, Deputy Rainey and Criminal Investigator Dendy, to accompany Jason back to his home to check out the story. Upon arriving at Jason's property, investigators made sure to come in through the back, driving without headlights so as not to alert anyone in the Scott household. Jason and the 2 officers walk through the darkness, shining their flashlights through the chain-link fence to illuminate the 2 5-gallon buckets, their bright white plastic almost glowing in the dim light.
Yeah.
C.I. Dendy picks up a garden hoe lying in Jason's grass and uses it to reach over the fence and snag the handle of the closest bucket, lifting it over to their side. Grasping the lid, he peels it off to reveal the ghastly contents, causing all 3 men to reel back in horror. It's a woman's severed head and hand. 3 days earlier, on July 6th, CCTV footage at Oak Liquor shows a woman entering the store at around 3:30, striding in confidently and heading to the back of the store before stopping and looking around hesitantly. This is Lisa Marie Hyder, and unbeknownst to everyone in the store, this is her last day alive.
Wow.
She scans the back shelves, curling her long auburn ponytail around her fingers and adjusting her large black sunglasses before walking up to the man who has just passed her in the aisle. She isn't from here. She's only traveled up from where she lives in Dunlap, Tennessee to spend time with her ex-husband and 2 young children, the youngest of which is only a year old. Just before entering the store, Lisa had been on the phone with her ex-husband, trying to get a ride from where she was to the house, but he was unloading a truck in Huntsville and couldn't get to her until he was finished. Lisa was stuck where she was, and she needed a ride, which is why police suspect she approached the man in the liquor store. As for why she chose the liquor store, according to her ex-husband, Lisa had been allegedly struggling recently with alcoholism, which is why they'd split up a few months earlier. Though she had struggled with a dependency to alcohol before, a recent devastating piece of news had kicked her problems into overdrive. Lisa had been diagnosed with ovarian cancer and had only been given 6 months to live. Lisa was reportedly beyond devastated by the news, drinking to cope and apparently end her life faster, spiraling emotionally and behaving more recklessly than she usually did. As she's talking to both the man and the cashier, she adjusts her sunglasses and for a brief moment, a black right eye is visible. How she received this particular injury is still unknown, but it would pale in comparison to the injuries she would receive later that night. Because the man she's speaking to and will eventually exit the liquor store with is Gregory Scott Hale. Back in Jason's yard, C.I. Dendy and Deputy Rainey are radioing for backup, ordering for crime scene units to be deployed immediately and for search warrants to be written. As backup arrives, they head into the Scott residence to place Gregory Scott Hale under arrest, finding him sleeping on a couch in one of the filthy garages. Given what they've just discovered in the white buckets, the detectives were no doubt disturbed by the items Scott has decided to use to decorate this space. These items were later discovered to be old Halloween props from a haunted attraction Scott had worked the previous year. Scott makes no attempt to resist, and when initially confronted, admits to being the one who killed the woman and had placed her limbs and head in the 2 buckets, and had buried the rest of her in the burn pit nearby. Police take him in, and the following audio is the never-before-heard interview from that night. It has been analyzed by a licensed professional counselor.
Scott, you were talking to James out there at your house a minute ago, and he advised you of your rights. Okay, I'm Chad Parton. I don't know if you remember me or not. I worked with your mom up here for many, many years.
Chad Parton working with Scott's mother would almost certainly imply she'd worked as a member of law enforcement. But while Scott's mother, father, and son all being mere feet away asleep in the house while Scott committed this murder, none of their statements or information have ever been released.
Anyway, I'm going to go over your rights again, this time since we're up here in the office, okay? If you decide to answer any questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering at any time. You also have the right to stop answering at any time until you talk with a lawyer, okay? This isn't a mission, and it's just that we advised you of your rights, okay? It's right there, Scott.
Unless it's over.
Well, I know you was getting in some details there, but you kind of skipped ahead pretty good bit. How did you meet this girl?
She came up to me at the liquor store and said, can I go home with you?
Here in town?
Yeah, at Oak.
What day was this?
Friday.
Is this the girl that you brought in to the house? I mean, your mom and dad saw her? Okay.
The home detectives are referring to would be that of Scott's mother and father, as 37-year-old Scott had lost his job sometime prior and moved himself and his 14-year-old son into his parents' house. According to a narcissistic narrative spun by Scott, which he repeatedly mentions and embellishes throughout the interview, Lisa had apparently immediately found him so attractive that day. She immediately begged him to take her to his home and had decided she wanted to live with him in his mom's house before they had even left the liquor store. Then, once reaching the house and sitting in the grimy garage where Scott kept all of his Halloween decorations, she apparently couldn't keep her clothes on, and Scott had to repeatedly ask her to put her shirt back on because his parents might return from picking up his son at any minute. Considering Lisa was only in Manchester that day to meet with her children, whom, according to those who knew her, she adored more than life itself, it seems far more likely she simply asked Scott for a ride, and the rest of this story is a fabrication, though it's likely we'll never know for sure.
Made what I was drinking on, and she got her a pint of 100 proof vodka, and you can come hang out with me. And then she got in her head that she could just move in, and Mom ain't gonna let that happen, We did have, it was consensual, and she wanted to be choked. And, you know, us being drunk. And
Was this Friday night or was this
Friday night, it got carried away, and I guess I strangled her in
Where was y'all at when this happened?
my garage.
Was you using a rope or
Hands in a shirt. The shirt's in the garbage can in the garage.
rope?
At this point in the interview, Scott once again begins boasting about how into him Lisa was, describing in explicit detail how much she wanted him, how turned on she was by his tattoos, not once mentioning his thoughts or feelings concerning her. It's unclear why Scott is so desperate to convince the detectives that Lisa was interested in him that he's making up unconvincing details. He may be trying.
It might be what he's trying to do is paint the narrative that it was an accidental death. And so he won't necessarily get charged with first degree. But I guess in the state of Tennessee, second degree, because we don't have like the laws here are very, very weird. Mm-hmm. But in a situation like this, I guess he was hoping for a second degree murder charge. Mm-hmm. Or a manslaughter charge. Mm-hmm. Or something lesser, you know what I'm saying? Or accidental death, something of less. And then he'll only get charged with that and the dismember of a corpse. Which still would carry less time than life in jail for first. Because say for instance, we having sex and you get strangled, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it was an accident. It's not necessarily...
Yeah.
It might be manslaughter or, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I feel like he's trying to paint that narrative.
Right.
And not that I premeditated and sought out there to do this.
Fact.
That's the only thing I can think of. It's still weird at the end of the day.
And to make sure he isn't on the hook for assault, or it's just the narcissistic side of his personality coming through. Either way, detectives just keep trying their best to keep him on track.
So you just show me how you done that. You just...
And then I got off, I guess. She didn't. She's like, keep choking me. And I kept on. I put a shirt around her neck and tightened it up. And, you know, she's supposed to have, you know, when it was, you know, and she never fought. She never did. And next thing you know, she's dead. And I'm like, well, this is great. And I guess, I don't know, I got scared or nervous or I don't know.
Scott's account of strangulation is interesting because according to the autopsy, the soft tissue of the neck above the fourth cervical vertebrae are examined. No soft tissue hemorrhage is seen. The hyoid bone and thyroid cartilage are intact. No contusions of the neck are seen.
And that's another
He's so
thing.
slow, he don't even understand.
I was about to say that. I was going to let him finish. I was like, you know that they can determine if she had any type of force to her neck or just anything, like...
Because they have to determine the cause of death
right,
anyway.
And they examine all of that.
Yeah. So you tell them strangulation, they're going to check. Even if you dismember the body, they can still be able to check.
Yeah.
While the autopsy does conclusively rule that Lisa's death was caused by homicidal violence, no single cause is listed. There were no drugs other than alcohol in her system, and her lungs showed no evidence of smoke inhalation. So exactly how Scott ended her life or why he would feel the need to lie about the exact manner of her death is unknown.
What happened after that, Scott? I mean, you realized that she had passed. Did you try to give her CPR or anything? Did you try to resuscitate her or anything?
No, I don't know how to do CPR.
Okay.
You know, I smacked her on the face a few times and...
No response.
You know, I opened up her eyes and her eyes were not all the way shut.
Yeah.
I pulled up her eyelid and covered, you know, and then moved it. Her pupil didn't dilate or move or nothing. I've been wanting to go into a psychiatric hospital because I've already been having urges. Man, they've just been getting greater and greater, and I don't know if it's what, but I guess before I could get to one. So I've been watching a lot of serial killer stuff. I don't know if that was getting in my head. I've been having some crazy things happening at the house, like as far as unexplainable, supernatural, whatever. I suffer.
Were you doing anything to keep your mind occupied besides this? I understand he didn't have a job. Did you try to pick up a hobby? Did you try to go to the gym, work out? Because if idle mind is the devil's playground.
This probably was his hobby, getting into all of this stuff. There's no telling.
Technically, it is because you was working at the last week. Probably know you working at the Halloween thing, the haunted house thing. You probably got infatuated with. You probably been had ideas, and you kept surrounding yourself with things that sparked your interest in that, and it kept feeding into your thoughts until you have to eventually
desires.
Yeah, until you eventually have to act upon it. You know, like
As far as unexplainable, supernatural, whatever, I suffer from sleep paralysis. Not sleep apnea, but paralysis. I'll come to, I'm completely paralyzed and I can't move.
Despite Scott's best efforts to make himself seem troubled or possibly insane, what he's describing isn't a disorder, as it happens to people fairly regularly.
But you're conscious.
Yeah, and not this last time it happened, but the time before. Because I looked it up on the internet and I found out a lot of people that claim to be abducted by aliens suffer from it. I've also looked up it was a demon. And, anybody who knows my reputation knows I'm into the dark stuff. Ever this last time, not this last time, time before it happened, I come to, it was a deep paralysis. And I could hear something above me breathing. And something slid my fan. The way I was laying on the bed, something slid my fan all the way over, like where I look over laying down. Fan stayed running, and that's impossible. That cord's barely long enough to plug in where it was. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've had a headache constant. It's been about 2.5 months. And a beeping sound for about 2 weeks. I had an episode, give or take a week ago, and the beeping sound's back in my head. And it's just ever since then, it's just, my thoughts ain't been right.
Yeah.
How long you been out of rehab?
This question, posed by Detective Cheryl, seemingly comes out of nowhere and isn't mentioned at any point in the interview before or after now. Since both of the detectives seem to know Scott from before this crime, it might just be prior knowledge.
Well, he's at a very small town. 2 towns, very, very, very small. So 9 times out of 10, it wouldn't surprise me if they do already know each other.
Well, of course they do know him.
No, I'm saying like everybody in the town
like know each other.
Yeah, very, very, very small. Country, southern, typical small town in America. So they probably also Pete. They work with his mom.
That's what I was about to say. Of course they know him. His mom worked.
But mom probably also let him know that he was in rehab. Scott's in rehab, He's doing all right. He's going to be better, Just to keep prepared. When you go to the church on Sunday, just say, put in a prayer in the prayer box for him, We're just trying to take it day by day. Hopefully he get better.
You ain't right in the head.
Bruh, that's how it be, though. Am I lying? See, is that not how it be?
I left it. I didn't even stay 24 hours because
How long ago was it been when you went there?
about 2 Februaries ago.
You ain't used any left.
2 Februaries ago.
Bruh, that's so country, bruh. How long has it been?
About 2 February.
About 3 Aprils ago.
3 Aprils ago.
3 Aprils ago, No, that's some bitch. Bro. You never been over here, have you?
I know I have no reason to go.
Bro, I used to hit the interstate, be going. As soon as we get down there, I gotta give it. Shit, let me go here. Never speed though, cause I'm not. Never speed. I ain't gonna lie, they be looking. We stopped at the gas station once. They was looking. I'm like, all right, hurry up, fill these cars up. We gotta get going. They said, y'all want to go down there and work? No, I just sit there. You better ask for this. I'm not going, bro. Ask one of them, they're gonna be okay. I ain't gonna be okay. I'm not going down there. Hell nah.
How long ago was it been when you went there?
About 2 Februarys ago.
You ain't used any left in the past couple of months or nothing like that?
Mm-mm.
No pills?
I took an Adderall
When did you take it?
maybe a week ago.
Pretty much all you've been doing is drinking, man.
Drinking, smoking weed. I like to do Percocets and Hydros, but I don't take those to get high on them. I've abused my body so much, I hurt.
So once you realize that and she's there and you're like, okay, how long did you sit and think or?
Did you call anybody, tell your parents? Or?
Mm-mm.
So what happened from there?
I covered her up with a blanket on my love seat. You know, I'm pondering what to do, which I should have just called y'all. But another part of me was wanting, you know, it was like, you done went this far, you know. And that's when I pulled her off love seat and I put her in.
That little word, and you
Wording
done went this far. Like, what is
everything.
that?
You
Like, if it was an accident, then
like I would have been like,
far, like no.
you would have been like, the whole wording, because people have done things in an accident, and a death has happened, and they panic and try to hide it because they like, I don't know what the consequences come from this. There has been situations where that does happen.
Yeah. I've heard situations like that. It's
But
supposed
you wouldn't word it like this.
Mhm.
You went so far, you went this far already.
For, you know, and that's when I pulled her off love seat and I put her underneath the boat. Kind of threw some stuff on top of her, so in case mom or dad walked out there and looked to see if she was there, you know, because, you know, I walked in and told mom, I was like, well, she's gone. She got mad because I wouldn't stand up to you and let her stand here, and she just took off walking. I waited till they went to sleep, and I guess I just let my twisted side take over. I do have personality issues.
It's unknown what Scott's official diagnoses are, but given his potential parasitic lifestyle and the seeming lack of emotion here, it would be tempting to guess that he has a form of antisocial personality disorder. However, without knowing his full history, it's hard to be certain.
After they went to sleep, I pulled her out from underneath the boat, and I was gazed on her for a minute. I laid down beside her and was just touching.
Mm-hmm. Was she still warm?
She was starting to lose it, and I forgot what the word is when the blood settles.
Rigor.
No, that's
Pulling.
stiffening.
Pulling.
Yeah, and there's already, you know, splotches. And she was starting to get a little rigor mortis, but not too bad. Her arms, you know, they still kind of, when I drug her out, because I grabbed her by her ankles, and her arms still kind of, but her legs was a little stiff. In my head, I was thinking maybe she's just faking. There's still a part of me that was hoping.
Maybe she just passed out or something.
Yeah. There's another knife in the garage. It's about this long, gray blade. Got a machete handle with duct tape on it. And I worked at a slaughterhouse for 6 years, so I know where to go to, you know, any deer hunter or anybody like that that's skinned, you know, you know how to feel the joints. And
This is an interesting justification he tries to make several times throughout the interview, trying to downplay his actions as a totally normal thing any deer hunter or slaughterhouse employee would be able to do, as though there are many people in these fields that would even think of doing something this horrendous.
I'm trying
What
to
you trying to see?
understand where the joint said where they were cutting at.
Right here.
I know in the wrist is right here where the little gap is.
Mm-hmm.
But in the arms, because you know they'll cut the arms out too. What the heck?
This little space right here.
I don't know. Dang.
Right there.
I got bone on the other side. It's called the elbow. I don't know.
We all do.
I'm saying I don't know. I'm not into like this, so I don't fucking know. I don't hunt. I don't do that. Only about hunting I do is go to the butcher and say, "Hey, I want some meat."
I'm so done.
It's about
I thought you said the bushes.
no,
The butcher.
In reality, very few people, regardless of their profession or skill in butchering animals, would even know where to begin when faced with the task of applying their skills to the body of a fellow human being.
that was taking too long, but I did. I started with her head. I cut her head off first.
Did you put any plastic or anything down, or you just
No.
right there on the floor?
No, that floor was covered with blood.
Did you move the carpet out of there? I think there's green carpet or.
And there's some blue carpet in there. I was going to pull it up, and my knife wasn't sharp enough
The pocket knife I got off the.
to do what I was wanting to do quickly. So I got the axe, cut off her hands, or at least I busted the bone with the axe, and then I used the knife and I cut off her feet.
Bear in mind that up to this point, Scott has maintained that he had a woman die in his home accidentally, and panicking went about disposing of the body in the quickest way he knew how. This next part, however, reveals the true depth of his depravity and is one of the most sickening and disgusting confessions we've ever heard.
And I was going to eat some of her, so I kind of cut off some of her, rump and part of her back strap. Cut off some of her, rump and part of her back strap.
Backstrap is a term used by hunters to describe the long strip of muscle that runs parallel to the animal's spine, and is a particularly prized cut of meat in big game for being the most tender and flavorful, because it isn't a muscle often used by four-legged animals. Because human beings are not four-legged game animals and therefore cannot be split into similar cuts of meat,
Right.
there's no telling what muscles Scott actually tried hacking out of Lisa's body.
Right.
But just the fact he thought of doing this at all and goes on to use these terms to describe her body shows how little regard he holds for her and the life he took. Detectives are under...
The rump is the booty, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I said it like that. The booty.
I don't know why you said it like that. Yeah, that's what I thought.
The buttocks. Because I was like, the backstrap. I'm like, what's that? Okay.
Understandably thrown by this.
So did you cut her back strap out?
Part of it.
Part of it. Did you keep any of it?
It's all in those buckets.
This is interesting because, according to the autopsy, only the lower arms, legs, hands, feet, and head were present in the buckets when collected by police.
No torso.
No backstrap was found, though again, what exactly Scott is referring to is unknown.
Right.
But his words flow too smoothly here compared to his other lies, so it seems that regardless of what he managed to actually do, he viewed Lisa as little more than an animal to be slaughtered. He went out of his way to cut out what he thought would be the tastiest portions of her.
The body's underneath the fire pit.
What about the legs? Are they in the buckets or in the fire pit?
Both.
You got a refrigerator or anything up there in your garage? Any piece of anything in there?
No. Now I flipped her over, and I cut up her belly, and reached up and cut her heart out.
What'd you do with it?
I slung it.
Was it out in the yard somewhere?
Did you sling it straight from the garage or to the left?
No, it was like-
Or to the field?
Like where those buckets are, there's a fence.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just, because Mom was coming out, and
So you just sort of slung it across the driveway?
yeah, she kept saying, but Mom and Dad, I was noticing them talking about what's Clyde keep smelling, what's Clyde keep smelling.
Clyde seems to be the
dog.
family dog, though this isn't
Wow.
confirmed.
And this was Friday night?
And this was today, and I went and built a fire, and I tried to burn her remains, and I was going to bury the heads, or the head, and the other body parts.
So the pieces that you cut, the back strap and whatnot, you went ahead and burnt them, or are they in a bucket too?
They're in the buckets.
They're in the buckets. But you never did fry any of her up or cook any of her or nothing, or eat. Did you ever eat any of it?
Yeah.
You did. What part did you eat
Piece of meat off the leg that while she was in the fire.
while it was cooking? How big a piece you think it was? Just, okay. About the size of an egg.
Yeah.
Was it cooked up pretty good, or was it still semi-raw?
It was juicy. It didn't taste like blood though. I mean, but it tasted like
It is so weird.
This is so disturbing.
Honestly, bro.
And even the way that they even asked him.
Cause bro, the bloodier the
He said, was
better.
it cooked up pretty good?
They want to cook. They be wanting to cook a little bit, but still got a little blood so they can. It's the freshness.
Was it cooked up pretty good? Like, this is a person. This is a human that we're talking about. You know, not a.
You know these folks country as
This
hell.
is so
That's how they
disturbing.
talk, man.
Hmm.
So that's how they talk. These folks country as hell.
Okay.
I'm gonna take you over there one day.
I ain't got no reason to go over there. Ain't none over there. Ain't none over there I want to see.
Just ride through.
I don't want to. What I'm riding through
Just a
for?
30-minute drive. Just say hey, bye.
I'm
You got co-workers that live. Old co-workers. My cousin stay over there. You don't want to go see him? Dang, cuz. I'm going to tell him watch this.
I don't mind going to see him, but we ain't. Don't please.
Did you do like your old coworkers over it?
I know what they had.
Several of them.
Not several. It wasn't
The
several.
redhead and the other woman. It was another woman that stayed.
It was just two.
I said the redhead one.
Yeah, she moved there, and then the older one.
The older one.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about. The older woman. That's what I said. The other one.
My raw.
It was juicy. It didn't taste like blood, though. I mean, but it tasted like a cardboard piece of steak.
Similarly to how Scott was trying to convince the detectives of Lisa's burning passion for him.
Steak? Bro, what the hell? What piece he ate of her then?
He said her leg.
Oh, a piece of the thigh muscle. He said her upper leg.
Yeah.
That would be the, like, nah, I'm not. Because everybody thighs are bigger.
I'm so disturbed.
So that's a muscle meat?
Well, I told you that
diaphragm?
chart that you showed me, it like compare.
See, like every time I try to
say, I'm like, that is so disturbing that
every
somebody
time you try
made
to
a
forget
chart of what, like the different body parts and what they are like compared to as far as like
Taste-wise.
Animal meat, taste wise, and the texture.
Yeah.
The fact that someone knows that, or I guess from like different people talking about it that have been on this type of stuff, I guess that's how they come up with that.
He said it tastes like a steak. That's crazy. He probably like, it's actually better than I thought it was gonna be.
That's so disturbing. Instead of just like, if it was actually an accident, instead of just calling and like, hey, this happened, I didn't mean to do it, knowing that you're still gonna be, charged or whatever the case may be, because you did still took someone's life. I don't know how, with what is, that ain't for me to determine, but you decided to cut her up, burn a barrier.
Your mom was also part of the what's called, well, or former or still, she just probably don't work in
yeah.
She got connections, bro. You never know what might have happened in a small town if it was truly an accident.
That's sad.
Well, you know how small towns get seized, no? Sweep it. It was an accident. Sweep it on the road.
But I can't even truly believe that just because
I'm saying because it's not.
Yeah,
because the autopsy proved that the story he told was
false.
So yeah.
He also seems to be trying to convince them that what he did wasn't despicable or utterly insane, because she just tasted like steak.
Well, let me ask you this. Before you cut her up, or any time during you cut her up, did you drink any of her blood, or did you have with her again?
No.
Okay. So basically what you done, you just got busy of trying to dispose of her. Did you take any other organs out? Just the heart? Okay.
If you really wasn't sure why she's dead, why didn't you call somebody to come up there and check on her?
Right.
Because something else is in control.
So in a way, you wanted her to be dead?
I don't know what was going on in my head.
It's curious that Scott keeps mentioning how he wasn't in control of his actions while at the same time providing excruciating detail on exactly what those actions were, and at times, exactly why he did them. It's possible that he may be trying to set up a half-hearted attempt at an insanity defense throughout the interview, but isn't really sure how to go about it.
Has she made you mad or anything at night?
Not really. She just irritated me a little bit.
It's clear that detectives are trying to find some possible motive for this murder and the horrific acts that swiftly followed, as it seems unlikely that it was simply an accident. As it turns out, the next part may reveal a bit of what Scott's true motivation might be.
I know me and you talked about this last time, but I talked to you after Tales. I can't remember if you was telling me that you was reading books about serial killers or if it was the movies you was telling me about.
Wasn't
you reading some books at one time?
I was just studying about them, just watching like biographies.
What's your favorite movie to watch as far as serial killers?
No, I was doing the biographies, the real stories. And I'd look up on the internet.
Like Jeffrey Dahmer or...
Yeah. My favorite one is Richard Ramirez.
Ramirez, was he the one that
he was the Night Stalker?
Yeah.
Richard Ramirez, a.k.a. the Night Stalker, was an American serial killer who terrorized the Southern California region in the mid-'80s, killing at least 13 people and assaulting countless others.
You know, he would say this one, right? Because he said he's into the dark shit. Jeffrey, he gonna say nah because he ain't into, because the Jeffrey one looks more a little sus. He like, that ain't me. But also, Richard didn't eat nobody, did he? Not that I know.
I don't know. I don't be into all this stuff. I hear about him and move on.
We didn't watch his though.
I said I hear about it and I move on.
Okay.
I don't like try to remember like details about these serial killers. I just think it's weird.
So you think I'm weird?
I didn't say nothing about you. I said I think it's weird. If you
What do
think
you
that
think
I'm
is
talking
weird?
about you,
Oh no,
then
what
yes,
do you
you
think is
too.
weird?
I just the fact that people be so like fixated on them and remembering every little detail and bringing them up every chance they get and compare. Like I just think it's weird. Like
It's not weird. People study this as like.
if that's your profession, that's different. If that's what you do and you try to like see why people do the things they do, that's different. I have respect for that. Cool. But I'm saying like just the everyday person. That's why people like him. You want to be the next Richard. No.
I don't think you want.
That's not what I'm saying.
I get what you mean.
Because you do have people that do
Fantasize, yeah.
They are like inspired by
True.
and that's why they do the things they do. They are like obsessed with and they try to copy every little thing, study it and copy. No.
See, look at it.
I'm not looking at you for nothing.
For y'all who don't know, like when I find out about certain ones, I might look into them and she be like, "You going a little too deep."
I won't even say
finding information and
looking into it's like, oh, say for instance, a name come up and it's like, oh, okay, I've never heard of that person.
And I try to look into the crimes.
Let me say, and you know, a name would come up like, oh, I never heard of that person. Oh, dang, I forgot about whatever. And I like, you know, I may look it up. It's like, oh yeah, okay, or oh dang, something like that. But I feel like some people do get a little obsessed for a little while on like just feeding. I feel like you need to be careful of what you.
But I'm
feed your mental. That's all I'm saying.
But I'll say this. Rich Ramirez, only thing I know is from the documentary. John Wayne, only thing I know is from the documentary. I don't even know a lot of information about Ted. Well, I know probably more than a lot of people because I was introduced to Ted as a teenager. And I told you about that.
Yeah.
I told you.
I don't remember, but yeah. And I don't need the backstory.
No, I told you we went to one of our little meetings. They had it on.
Oh, okay.
They had it on in the house, his interview. And
I
was like, what's that? I wasn't tuned into it. I was like, what's that? It was like, oh, Ted Bundy. I was like, who is Ted Bundy? And I got Phil. I was like, oh, no. So I was like, oh. But yeah. And the only one I like looked into was Jeffrey because of the documentary thing they did. Mm-hmm. I haven't looked. No, she be thinking I'm obsessed with this stuff.
According to some articles on this case, Scott reportedly wrote on his Facebook page on the day of Ramirez's death, "R.I.P. Night Stalker. Wish I could have met you." However, this couldn't be verified.
The Night Stalker, that's right. John Wayne Gacy, or
I've read about Gacy. I mean, I got on a bad serial killer kick a few years back, and that's all I put on my Facebook was just videos, like, because I don't listen to exactly what you call mainstream music. And, you know, I find videos of serial killers and, you know, by different bands where they're playing and, you know, this video footage of different killers. And I told her, I was like, I'm wanting to check into a psychiatric hospital. I'm just thinking about it too much.
This admission is very interesting, as it could suggest that Scott had in fact fantasized about committing the same types of depraved acts as the serial killers he had an admittedly unhealthy obsession with, which may explain why he was so quick to start destroying Lisa's body so soon after her supposedly accidental demise. Detectives seem to start thinking along the same lines, as their next few questions focus on the ideas presented by the idea Scott may have been acting out serial killer fantasies.
Because I was about to say, I know he's trying to paint the picture that he's like
insane
or it's like a psychotic thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's insane. I don't think he's any not fit to
stand trial.
Stand trial.
Mm-hmm.
I just think he had a weird obsession that he allows to get the best of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he had nothing else going for his life but to drink, get high, and indulge into this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they started wearing them like, I wonder how they felt in that moment. I wonder how, you know what I'm saying? And he got.
I think that's all it was. And the fact, I'm sorry,
my bad. You said
I was about to say it's also like very disturbing. Like just the way he's sitting up here, just telling everything. It's just so nonchalant. Like no type
most
of
like. Most of them have when they like talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It be in the same tone. It don't be aggressive. It don't be remorseful. It's just being a calming tone. They can talk about it so peacefully. And it's like, yeah.
But some of them for like a while, like it takes so much. You like prying, like trying to get stuff out of them. But it was just straight to it.
I think once they know you got evidence against them and you like.
Some of them still be like knowing that you got stuff and they still like, I don't know.
I get what you're saying.
By the idea Scott may have been acting out serial killer fantasies.
I guess things went sour before I could get to one. Moccasin Ben always kicks me out. I'll be there a day or 2 or 3.
You're fine going on.
Yeah.
He's just the only person that you've ever hurt like that.
Yes.
Have you ever tried doing anything else? Dogs, cats?
I'm an animal lover.
I thought you had a dog up there at one time.
Yeah. I mean, I worked in a slaughterhouse, but...
Where'd you work out, Champions?
Worked there on and off for 6 years.
For Charlie and them out there?
Mm-hmm. We had a bad falling out.
So, when you were having with her and she wanted you to start choking her out, what was your thoughts? What was going through your head then? Were you thinking, this is my opportunity, I'm just going to choke her out and live out one of my fantasies, or?
Pretty much.
Opportunity was a knocking, wasn't it?
Yeah. You know what's up? We was going to go to a different damn liquor store, too. And we was right there about to pull in. She goes, wait. She goes, you can't go to Oak Candy. You owe that woman money. I was like, no, I paid her off. So she just went around, went all the way to Oak Liquor instead of stopping at Westmead.
Maybe it was fate. Who knows?
This last statement seems to be Detective Parton taking a weak stab at one of the principles of the Reed technique, perhaps presenting an alternative theory to get Scott to admit to more details because the alternative makes the crime sound not that bad. It's at this point that the interview deviates from Lisa's cold-blooded murder and takes a rambling turn into Scott's personal life, starting with the other failed relationships with women he's had in the past and the misdemeanor charge for possession of drug paraphernalia that was still pending at the time of the murder, none of which, of course, were ever his fault. It's interesting to note that he blames the paraphernalia charge entirely on the woman he was seeing at the time, saying,
Yeah, it's misdemeanor paraphernalia. And me and this girl hooked up on a blind date. She was from Winchester. I couldn't get her to leave. Somebody called the police or something and said that I was dealing drugs and all this. And I ain't no drug dealer. You know, I'm a user.
This seems to be a running theme in Scott's life. That he never does anything wrong, the bad things that happen to him are never his fault, and that he's so irresistible to crazy women, they all immediately want to live with him. The detectives offer no comment on this, instead trying to steer Scott back to the matter of Lisa, and while Scott does answer their questions, it's now only between stories about himself, random details on his life, or any random thought that seems to cross his mind.
Serial killers and stuff like that. Was you thinking about keeping any of the body parts at all?
It crossed my mind. And I thought about keeping her skull because, you know, I'm all the time messing with masks and Halloween decorations, stuff like that. And I was like, you know.
For those of you keeping track, Scott has now referred to the victim as a slaughtered animal and is now comparing her to a Halloween decoration, further indicating how little regard he had for Lisa Hyder's life. Eventually, the exhausted detectives wrap up the nearly 3-hour interview by reading Scott's overwrought confession back to him, and he signs it. Gregory Scott Hale pleaded guilty to first-degree murder on January 15, 2015. And though on the surface this may seem as though he was finally taking responsibility for his actions, in recent years he claims he was charged and sentenced unjustly on the grounds of religious persecution, the religion in question implied to be Satanism. However, there's no concrete evidence that Gregory Scott Hale was a practicing theistic or atheistic Satanist, or were there any signs of satanic literature, paraphernalia, or religious symbolism found anywhere near the crime scene, aside from a crudely rendered Leviathan cross scribbled on a sheet of notebook paper on a dusty desk. Some point to one Leviathan cross as a sign that Scott was a practicing Satanist. However, on this same desk, in a place of equal prominence, there was a Star Trek fan collective Borg DVD. But few have pointed to this as evidence that he worshipped the Borg Queen. Scott never mentioned Satanism or any other alternative belief systems in his interview. While a handful of the news articles written after his arrest briefly bring up Satanism as a possible motive, it appears they're basing the assumption that Scott worshipped the devil on his love of metal music, the album covers of which adorn his Facebook page, and dark comedy. Scott also goes on to complain that all of the articles only include the bad things about him, allegedly writing, "Y'all only put up the bad. I've been told by a couple of people who really know me and who wrote positive things about me, or said positive things, and for some reason that never gets published. But people who don't really know me that speaks only diluted BS that is secondhand BS, and bad about me. Y'all want to smear that all over the paper." Regardless, the family of Lisa Marie Hyder can rest assured that the man who brutally murdered and dismembered this young mother of 6 will rot in prison for the rest of his life.
Good.
Oh, yeah, he ain't getting out.
Good, right.
Tennessee laws are 100%. You do 100% of the time. Ain't no good time, ain't none of that. You do 100%. I mean, absolutely one. Even if you was convicted before they made the change, you got to do the whole sentence.
Right.
Ain't no 85%. Because it used to be 85% and you can get some good time and shed off on that too so you can get out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you go to jail. They give you 30 years. You got to do every day of that 30 years.
Yeah. Like the fact that you took someone's life, dismembered their body, burned them, ate a little piece of them, everything. You want somebody to publish something good about you? Like, be so for real. And shout out to the neighbor for telling, because you have some people that are just, like,
mind their business.
Mind their business. Like, I ain't gonna get involved in what they got going on, or, they just playing, it's a joke, or brush it off, or just ignore it. Mm-hmm. But good thing he, like, followed his gut and was like, yeah, something don't seem right. You know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, shout out to him, though. Yeah. And rest in peace to Lisa. Rest in peace to Lisa.
Yeah, Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie's Hyder.
Hyder. Yeah. I tried to Google her. Not Google. I tried to look her up on Facebook. Oh. But I forget. I was like 2014, probably.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
But hey, man, y'all spam us up in the comments. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us in the comment section down below. But until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid and C.
Sierra Nicole.
We are.
Kid and C.
We are.
Peace.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar.